We're New York's best talk radio, HTLA Radio 1.
Wow. It's dusty, and my headset was dusty. It's been a while.
It has been a while, yes, but you are here live in the studio for this Monday, the 18th of May.
I am. Well, I only come out for the important stuff now, you know.
That's right.
I'm just that big now. I only come out for the celebrity shows and the special important shows.
When there's butt to be kicked.
That's right. Well, today is Monday, May 18th, 2015. And if you can hear me, then you are listening to Straight Talk with your host, this intellectual Kate Taylor, and my co-host, my brilliant Beyond Borders, Christopher Crash Jesus Taylor.
Oh, yes.
That's right. Stay with us because we've got a show for you tonight that, well, if you have school-age children, you'll want to be a part of. Part 2 of the public system, education system in America. Mm-hmm. That's right. And you know we're going to really have at it then.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, like we always do.
Yeah.
That's right. This is HTLA Radio 1, the world's best talk radio on the world's first, all brilliantly exceptional, all utterly original talk entertainment programming ever. All right.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
at least it wasn't a 2-hour theme song, so that makes me happy. That's right. Only one Meeps, and we're going to get right to it. So if you've not yet been there, then head on over to our world at HTLA, www.htlaradio1.com. That's the number one, just like us. And as you spend your time with us, we hope it'll become clearer and clearer that there can be only one, and that one is this one, HTLA Radio 1. New York. That's right.
That's right. And now you're listening to the show that started it all and that still brings you the best in celebrity guests, timeless topics, and talk that you most certainly can take with you. Straight Talk.
That's right. And before we continue, we've got a couple more of those great celebrity guest shows coming up next month.
Oh, we do?
In June. That's right. We've got 2 comedies we're going to be promoting next month. The sequel to the dodgeball film called Balls Out.
Right.
And we're going to be speaking to some of the actors from that film. And the new comedy that I really wasn't even aware of coming out, Larry Gay, Flight Attendant.
What?
So, yeah, there's a...
Larry Gay.
Flight Attendant, right.
Flight Attendant.
So it's another comedy. So it's going to be a funny June. So we're going to laugh as soon as school is over. We're going to laugh. But not because school is over. We're going to cry. Well, maybe after you hear this show. Well, it doesn't matter. School, summer, winter, fall. Our kids are homeschooled, so it's all the same to us. But
well,
you know,
now, yeah,
right,
yeah.
But most parents, they dread that end of school day because what do you do with them all summer? I've been looking into summer camps, day camps now for the kids, so activities for the daytime. But
that's right. I've always been a firm proponent in sending them to the camps.
That's right. Well, our show is meant to be a gift and something you can take with you and use long after our broadcast is done. Mm-hmm. And talking straight about the issues that matter with those to whom they matter most. And today it's parents who have school-age children.
Right.
Obviously, what prompted the public education system in America Part 2 show today was the Focus Room Horror, which now actually has its own website.
Yeah, what?
It has its own website now, helpingalex.squarespace.com.
Oh, of course.
And it's about the Braunfels, Texas elementary school, Carl Schurz Elementary School, and the Focus Room Horror. It's not like the Dunwich Horror. But anyway, that's what they're calling it. And yes, I got to say, the pictures the mother took of the child in the room crying, it's incredibly disturbing. See, and she has a lot more composure than I do. Because I only do telephone conferences with teachers, and I'll tell you why that is. I love to do throat punches. That's just an innate kind of thing that comes out when you piss me off. I can't help it. It's like the Hulk, you get me mad. And, I don't turn green. I throat punch. That's what I do. It's something I was trained very young to do, and it just comes out, and it's really difficult to stop me from doing that. Anything that has to do with my kids or my family, you can bet several of them are going to be flying about in the conversation. And that's just the way it is. So that's why I don't go to school conferences, and I have them over the phone. So if I had ever gone to school and picked up a child of mine and they were in the condition that this photo intimates this boy Alex is in.
Right.
That vice principal there in her pretty red dress would have been laid out all over that floor. And don't tell me I can't take... They actually stopped her from taking cell phone pictures of the thermostat, of the temperature of the room. And, first they wouldn't even let her in to get the kid. 4 or 5 different times she tried to get in there just to collect her son. This is elementary school, people, not the penitentiary.
Right.
Anybody tries to stop me from going into school to collect my own child, wow, you better have a SWAT team with you. It's just unimaginable what these institutions in this country now think they're capable of doing.
Well, the other thing that really got me is when I came to the United States in 2010, and of course, one of our kids was in school in grade 4, I believe, at the time, and I found out pretty quickly that we have to call ahead and make a bloody appointment to go to the school.
Oh, yeah. It's just terrible.
Well, because there'd be all sorts of security issues and this, that, and the next thing. And I was like, what?
Yeah, sure. They have to say that kind of stuff, but that's not really true. Whenever I've gone to school, you ring the bell, one of the kids will open the door, or, somebody else walking by and say, I look like a soccer mom. They're not going to not let me in, And plus, I spent more time at the kids' school volunteering, parent teacher for the day, that kind of thing. Then I was there as much as the teachers, especially when Gia was little.
Right.
In grades like 1 through 5. I was a staple. I was always the parent chaperone for class trips. I was, because, and I've always said this, other parents, you're going to save your kids first. And I don't blame you for that. So if anything goes wrong on a class trip, I'm going to be there for mine. And I will save yours too. But of course I'm going to save mine first, just like you'd save yours first. So I couldn't abide not being a parent chaperone on a trip because of that.
No.
And plus Gia was always too much of a handful for any other parents to handle. And it was like, she can't come unless you come. So, it was kind of that deal, because nobody else could kind of handle her curiosity and things of that nature. So.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But it has gotten incredibly ridiculous, though, since putting Gia in school when she was little. She's going to be 15 now. But, man, have times changed, she's always been an honor student. Academically, she excels. But behaviorally, she's always had issues because, she was raised with me alone for 10 years.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if anybody's ever seen a film called Loverboy with Keira Sedgwick. It's one of my favorite films of all time. She wanted a baby so long. So she has this baby, and it's just her and he. And she creates this magical world for him. And she teaches the kid, like, everything. Like, the kid knows, stuff that college kids don't know at, like, 5 and 6, because it's just them. And they explore, and they do history, and they play. And that's all they do, learn. Kind of like me and Tristan, right?
Yeah.
But now we have other things in our life, too. But where they created this bubble of world. So much so that when the kid grew up and wanted to actually go to real school, she couldn't handle it and committed suicide. But that's the film.
Wow.
Right. But the kid grew up very precocious and very adult-like because it was just her and he.
Right.
For all those years. And obviously Gia suffered that syndrome as well because it was just her and I for so many years.
Yeah.
Right. But I had a conference with her, one of her guidance counselors very early on. And I think I said this to you just yesterday. I had a choice to make when Gia was very little.
Yes.
I could choose her to blanket respect authority, become vulnerable, and, trust the wrong people just because they were in positions of authority. Or I can teach her to critically think and question things and, be an independent thinker.
Which, of course, you did.
Right. So, of course, now she's creative and she's brilliant and she's out of control at 15 now. Obviously, she doesn't respect anything or anyone because very little in this world, let's be honest, is respect worthy. I can't say, hey, I know, but as an adult, I see that now I have to. There are some people that are, above me that I have to be respectful toward. But aside from that, anybody that knows me knows it's really, really, really difficult to, get my respect in that way too.
Well, that's great for you, and you're a 40-something-year-old woman. You're a grown adult, and you can make those calls.
That's what I'm saying.
The problem is you can't raise a child in any day and age just to not blanket authority, acknowledge that and to, trust in our adults and trust in our people of authority.
Yeah, see, but you know what? She was born, and you tell that to all the kids that were molested by all the priests. When all that stuff was coming out, that's when I had Gia. So, you can't say that kind of thing to me. And then there was that whole thing, with all the nursery schools and the preschools and all that kind of stuff going on. How many kids were dying from neglect and all these kind of things. Stupid people. Nobody's ever babysat my children. My mother did while she was alive. That was it. I had housekeepers. I'll never have nannies. And I don't have babysitters. And that's it, because I don't trust anybody. And I can't help it. These are my kids. Whatever you want to do with your kids, that's fine. But, that's just me. I could never, ever live with myself if I went out, put somebody in charge of them, and God forbid something happened. So I can't do it.
Well, the way I look at it is it's life, and good things happen in life and bad things happen in life. And, to tell a kid or to teach them that, no, you don't trust anybody, don't listen to anybody, don't any of this kind of stuff. When we were talking about policemen or firemen or school teachers, if our society is that screwed up that we have to worry about them molesting and all this other stuff, we need to look at other avenues. But I don't think you can teach a kid just to go, hey, I don't know you. Just because you're the school principal doesn't mean anything. F off.
No, well, okay, let's clarify. That's not what I did. I taught her to critically think and make her own decisions, weigh whatever that person had to say with what she knew, and then go and get references somewhere else and verify.
And what you're learning right now is what? She knows best. Everybody else is wrong. And
all teenagers are like that. She just has it a little bit more exacerbated because of that upbringing.
Absolutely.
Okay, but here's my other point. She's going to be a kid for 20 years. Not even. And she's going to be an adult for the rest of her life. So I'd rather have the suffering for the 20 years and raise a critically thinking adult who isn't going to blanket listen to the sheep and listen to the yum-yums and get herself in a position where she's not okay. And unfortunately, yes, I know what you're going to say. And unfortunately, right now, she's dealing with a situation where she said something out of turn that was either taken out of context or, actually, the whole thing negated itself, but that's neither here nor there. We don't, we're not in Connecticut. We're not in, the city. We're not dealing with the kind of people that, would understand what we're saying. And this is a whole problem I have with the justice system and the educational system, full stop, because there's no such thing as peerage in there, so,
right.
It was a whole misunderstood thing in the first place. And in my misguided attempt to, for once, not protect her and allow her to experience the consequences of that and trust the system. And now I severely regret that too. I regret not, fighting for that initial point, and having stood up for that and maybe having mitigated, the consequences just a bit like this. Well, it all goes back to the Alex story in Texas.
Right. Let's maybe go through the details of that first.
Right. Okay. So 9-year-old boy named Alex. His mother goes to pick him up at school. He's in tears, confined and shivering in a small, empty room. And his mother was denied 5 times by the vice principal to accompany her to go collect her son.
Right.
Immediately, Alex's mom pulled out her phone and started taking pictures as the vice principal tried to block her. And the pictures are up here on their website, the Focus Room Horror, right, which is helpingalex.squarespace.com. Now, you know what? It seems funny to us, But I understand the parents' feelings completely and totally. Absolutely I do. Because I have this terrible thing where I'm hugely empathetic. And, I remember what it's like to be a kid, and I remember what it's like to be a teenager. And I know experiencing my own children growing up when they're upset or scared, how that feels.
Okay.
So, looking at that kid's face, he's not faking this. This kid is going through something very upsetting to him. He's 9, not 19. He's 9.
Okay.
So,
but why is he in there? He's not just in there because he was out at the picnic or he was being a good boy.
No, of course not. But there's this room in the school there that they call the focus room, and there's nothing in it but a crudely drawn circle in the middle of the floor where the kids have to sit for 90 minutes so they can earn 90 minutes back of classroom time. Well, if anybody knows anything about the timeout rule, it's 1 minute for every year the child is. So 9 minutes maximum, folks, not 90. It's not, a minute to the 10th power. Thanks. But, the point of the matter is I'm 9. I couldn't sit somewhere for 90 minutes. With nothing in the room and nothing like that. And, you can't expect a 9-year-old child to do this. And we can't have it both ways. You can't have a double standard. You can't, and we were talking about this yesterday too, remove the ability from the parents to discipline their children in a way that they're, respectful in society, which was also a big problem I had with Gia too. I had to raise her the way society said to, with the timeouts and with the charts and with the stars and the reward things and the, all that other good stuff, But had she grown up in our generation, she would never say the things that she said because God forbid we ever did,
I'm still gonna say it. Ever since we got rid of corporal punishment by in large in most of the public schools in this country, thank God there's still a few that practice it. Ever since we took parenting out of the hands of parents and put it in the hands of people who don't know any better, i.e. the government and i.e. anybody who phones you up these days and reports you for child abuse, as far as I'm concerned, it's out of my hands.
Right. Well, that's
as far as my
point.
kids go. You can't sit there and say that, well, you have to do this, that, and the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. And if you deviate from this plan in the least, there's going to be jail time, and there's going to be drug tests, and there's going to be charges and consequences, and this, that, and the next thing. You can't. How is a parent or parents or anything supposed to operate in that environment?
Well, they
you
can't. And that's what I'm saying. It's a double standard kind of thing here now. They took away the ability for parents to parent.
Right.
And yet, they want to say, well, how many kids out of 10 have autism and how many kids have ADHD and how many kids have these things? Well, what my problem with this focus room thing is, if you're going to play the autism card and the ADHD card and the emotional issues card and all these other things, well, then you can't treat a child like that. Not
every kid plays that, and we have no evidence in this write-up if he is or not.
The point of the matter is, and you can't take these measures, that you would take with so-called normal children that would work, these hard-handed tactics, these rough tactics, and impose them on a child that supposedly has issues.
Heavy-handed tactics, these hard tactics you're talking about, those would be bending them over your lap and giving them a spanking in front of the entire class.
Well, see, that's the stuff that used to work. But the point of the matter is, apparently this kid was in this room for 2 straight days.
Because his behavior warranted that, yeah.
There's no behavior that warrants 2 straight days. You call me, I'll come get him. My kid can be home for 2 straight days. If my kid has to be in a room alone in your school for 2 straight days, you are not doing something right. You're doing something wrong. If you can't handle my kid and you throw my kid into a room for 2 days because you don't know what else to do, well, then you're doing something wrong and you need to call me.
The only problem I see with this story is that the school really neglected to inform the parent of the situation and, at least have discussions to work with them. From what the parent says in this situation, this was a complete shock and surprise. And
it was.
She didn't know. And
well, the room temperature supposedly was frigid, and the teacher actually had the gall to put a coat on and go to him and say, oh, wouldn't it be nice to be warm? I mean, what adult does that to a child? This is a case of no compassion for a child's feelings either, though.
Okay, but on the other side of that, too, you also have life is so much more comfortable when you obey the rules, obey the laws.
You don't expect a 9-year-old to relate the two of those things.
Well, when do you teach it?
You can't. That's something that comes with life experience. Remember, physiologically, the brain isn't even developed until you're 18 and you're an adult.
That's right. Discipline and schedules and timing and everything else is taught, isn't it? Yes, it is.
Those are just rote habits, though. You're asking him to correlate an abstract concept that his brain hasn't even physiologically matured to the point to be capable of doing.
I'm asking you to calm down for 2 minutes while we go for a commercial break.
All right.
You've got it locked to New York's best talk, HTLA Radio
1. What if there was a coffee that was sourced from some of the world's most renowned growing regions, abundant with rich, fertile soil? What if this coffee was picked at the perfect moment, then packed meticulously and shipped carefully to be roasted under the watchful eye of coffee masters? What if it was expertly blended, ground, and sealed, ensuring maximum flavor and freshness, then brewed in small batches and always served fresh within 20 minutes, just the way you like it? Now, what if this coffee just happened to be the coffee you already know and love? Tim Hortons. Always fresh. Always great tasting coffee.
Man, I've been to a lot of places over these past 50 years. Seen the whole true north strong and free. 'Cause I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. I've been to Cooksville, Stouffville, Bainesville, Bowmanville, Bonneville, Unionville, Oakville, Dunville, Brockville, Boucherville, Melville, Drummondville, Kentville, Grenville, Morinville, Maryville, Parksville, Stephenville, Sackville, Spring Hill, Westville, Walkerville, hanging on a windowsill. Hey! He said, wow, that's a lot of places. I said, hang on, there's more. I've been to Moncton, Picton, Shannon, Vernon, Stellarton, Hamilton, Nipigon, Nobleton, Yorkton, Brighton, Bolton, Beaverton, Brandon, Edmonton, Walkerton, Wyerton, Granby, Miramichi, Charlottetown, Burnaby, Yellowknife, Whitehorse, Corner Brook, none of it. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. I crossed the prairies bare, man. I breathed the mountain air. I've traveled, I've done my share, man. I've been everywhere, man. Check it out. Ottawa, Wawa, Mattawa, Chippewa, Moose Jaw, Oshawa.
When we arrived at our hotel in New York, the porter was so incredibly careless with our bags. And the room they gave us, it was beautiful. A broom closet. But the worst part was the shower. My wife drying herself with the
Egyptian cotton towels.
Shower curtain defined that whole vacation for her. Don't just visit New York.
Visit TripAdvisor New York.
With millions of reviews, a visit to TripAdvisor makes any destination better.
Automatic freshness, softness, and static control has never been easier with the Bounce Dryer Bar. I just stick it to the inside of my dryer, and I never have to remember.
Old Spice Body Spray makes you smell like power! It's so powerful it sells itself in other people's commercials. You smell like outdoor freshness.
You smell like power?
Yeah, I do. Power! Power!
I've been so inspired by being in New York because everything from what people are wearing on the street to the way they're interacting with each other, to drive through the West Village at night and you see a couple kissing on the street, or you see someone fighting outside their apartment, or you see so much humanity on a daily basis that even if you're not inspired by your own life that day, you can be inspired by someone else's life.
You got that long hair, slicked back, white t-shirt, and I got that good girl face and a tight little skirt. And when we go crashing down, we come back every time, 'cause we never go out, we never go out, we never go
There's only one place to get more Taylor. We're New York's best talk radio, HTLA Radio 1.
Oh, yes.
Here we go.
That's
We
right.
are there and that, and we're all that in a bag of chips.
That's right. And you get more Taylor right here. Times 2.
That's right.
That's right.
Times 2.
Times 2.
In stereo.
That's right. All right. Well, we skipped over the whole rest of our intro because we just jumped right into the topic tonight. But this is why I hope you'll keep your iTunes and your tablets and your browsers locked in with us. And also, don't forget, feel free to call in and talk straight with us, too.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Oh, no, we got a number. That's right. It's 914-873-1NYC. That's 914-873-1692.
Yep. Yeah. Yes, and you can call in and chime in on this joyous show. But before we get into that, of course, Straight Talk is brought to you tonight by the fine folks at Tim Hortons New York City, with the 8 fine locations in the city to serve all your coffee and baked goods needs, of course. Tim Hortons, always fresh. Straight Talk is also brought to you tonight by Netflix Original Productions. Yes, make it a Netflix night. And PreSonus. Yes, for everything in digital, audio, and professional gear, check out PreSonus.com. And, of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that we are brought to you by Fierce Kitty Omnimedia.
Meow.
Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter. For the station, it's at HTLA Radio 1. For yours truly, it's at Crash Talkin'. And for the critical tweets.
That's right.
For the critical tweets, follow at Fierce Kitty Kate.
That's right. Or Kate Taylor, HTLA. I have 2.
That's right. And finally, remember to join us here every week because you never know who's going to show up on Straight Talk to talk straight. And now with the phone number open, you really never know, and neither do we.
Right.
That's right.
Because we are live right now, so
we are, and
we're sure to call us.
We're joined by the lovely, the fabulous, the gorgeous.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Of course, I'm talking about you, baby.
Oh.
Gotta say something to calm you down before the storm here.
That's true. I was getting a little antsy over there. I was getting a little excitable.
Well, there you
it's
go.
An excitable topic.
Well, before we get rolling tonight, it's time. We got to say it.
Oh, yeah.
Tonight's episode is...
Powered by Procast.
Oh, yeah. You've been biting my lines.
No, I haven't. I've just been stuff. Yeah.
See, that's not blue. See, that's not blue.
Oh, right.
That's okay.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Can't
It
see it.
sounds
It's-
good when you do it, too.
Yeah. So welcome back to the show. Of course, tonight's episode is a Public Education Part 2.
That's right.
In
In this country, anyway.
Yes.
Where we are 53rd in the world.
In the world.
When it comes to education.
That's right.
Do people know that?
Every time, it doesn't matter if I'm doing Crash Talk or if I'm doing Coffee and Cigarettes or if I'm doing Straight Talk with you here or if I'm out at events or if I'm just talking to people in the street or if I'm just wandering around naked, laying on taxi cab hoods, that kind of thing. I always bring it up. I always mention it. I always talk about it. But I don't know. People don't seem to. Oh, yeah. What am I thinking?
What?
Well, they're 53rd in the world for education.
So
They
why
probably,
would they think about that?
Well, no, they probably can't understand me.
Oh. Gosh, maybe your Coffee and Cigarettes crowd. Boom, chow.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh.
So anyway, tonight we're talking about, of course, among other things, the school crisis in Texas.
Right.
Yes,
well,
sorry.
I don't know if I'd call it a crisis, but this one school is certainly under fire for it. And, that's right. The Focus Room horror. Yes, like the Dunwich horror. That's right. New Braunfels, Texas. Right. So we had left off where, we were just about to get into a heated argument about, I don't believe that you can have it both ways, and you can't. This world is one of double standards, and most of them I agree with.
Right.
Right.
I don't.
I totally do. Well, some of them you do. You like the whole traditional double standard thing, and you're starting to like more of the conglomerate 740 Park Avenue thing. So, but some things are just ridiculous. Like, you can't take discipline traditionally away from parents and teachers, throw in a whole bunch of psychological stuff and tell them, well, you have to, do IEPs now for every child, and you have to, kowtow to their emotional disturbances and their particular needs and their nuanced ADHDs and autistic, spectrum disorders and things like that. And then you have these bubblegum gump teachers that just go and throw a kid in an ice cold room with no snacks for 2 days. It doesn't work that way.
Well, again, this poor Save Alex website or whatever the hell it is, and this whole thing, nowhere in that story was the reason he was
True
in
enough.
there.
True enough.
And I'd like to point out, too, in some conversations back and forth between, scroll down a little bit there, the conversation that Alex's parents had with him, they say, how often are you in this room? He says, almost every day, one for 2 straight days. Parents are like, is it always cold? He's like, yes. I asked if I could get my jacket and was told no. The teacher put her own jacket on and said it's sure nice to be warm. The parents ask, are they mean to you in that room? He says, yes, sometimes they shout at me and say rude things. Parents, what rude things do they say? Alex, this is the underscore right here. It tells me this little bastard is full of shit. Alex, quote, I don't know. I don't want to talk about it.
See, and I think it's traumatic, so he doesn't want to talk about it, whereas he thinks just suck it up and, that's it. Talking mean is part of life.
It means that when you put a kid on the spot with a question and he doesn't want to give what the truth is, he will say exactly that.
Or it's too painful to talk about, like when our daughter was being accosted by that bully of a brute of a monster of a boy, and the teachers and the students were not doing anything about it.
Well, and it's funny because a lot of people that have responded to this Alex thing on Facebook, by the thousands, their comments are, well, we put cameras on our policemen, so now we should put cameras on our students.
No, cameras should be in school, though, because when some kid was shoving Gia's head into a locker and we asked them to produce the security videos that they have watching, which they claim to have had.
Well, no. See, this is the whole thing, and this is why we're taking them to task, because that's a completely different situation. And if you want to get right into that situation's probably going to make this thing look like kinder school. Because
it is kinder school. But
there's a lot of situations and things that have happened to us personally that makes this laughable. There are assaults, there are sexual abuses, there are other things that are at play here. And when we as parents simply ask the principal, the vice principal, and a couple of the teachers what the details were, they just shut right down, don't tell us anything.
Right.
Well, when I asked just general questions about, okay, well, who can I talk to about reviewing your security footage? Oh, well, we don't have security footage for you to review. Well, why is that?
Right.
That they have a policeman at the school on site to handle all this kind of stuff. Where is he? How come we're not talking to him?
Right. Okay, well,
But, of course, what did they do? They just shut us down. They did this, that, and the next thing, and they told us, well, this is the plan we're going to do, and this is what we're going to do about this whole thing, and that's it. And they went ahead and did all that without our permission.
Right.
There wasn't one thing they did in that situation that was to the parents' permission, and that just blows me away. Now, this situation here with Alex coming out here in this whole timeout room, personally, I don't see a problem with it because it's time out, for God's sake. It's not like he's being waterboarded.
Right, but we know psychologically there is a procedure for that, though, too. Okay, look, now if you want to really, really get me upset here, all right, yes. My background is in early childhood development, and there are stages of behavior, and there's stages of development that certain things will have a more traumatic effect if implemented at one age than it will at another. Mm-hmm. There's a reason that timeout is minute per age. And sure, I think, even 4 minutes for a 4-year-old's a little ludicrous. A 4-year-old can handle 10 minutes. I'm not saying that they can't, especially if they refuse to, admit to the behavior and apologize and move forward in the good behavior. Absolutely.
Right.
But 90 minutes even for a 9-year-old. That's excessive in a room alone where it's cold with no furniture.
But again, this is my point about we don't know what he did to get in there. And
it doesn't matter what they did, though, hon. Don't you see? That's not the point. The point is it's excessive for a 9-year-old.
If he's just rolling around screaming, kicking,
then he does not belong in school. Then that kid has other. There's another point that was mentioned in the comments. Now, with. G has been mouthy. She's a comedian. She's the class clown. She's smarter than almost all the teachers. That's always been a problem. Sorry, can't help that. So, she has a tendency to correct teachers when they're wrong. She's got
I know from personal experience, she's tended to correct me when I'm right. So
and when you're wrong, though, too. So, but that's comes with the territory. She's only a child. If she can't learn,
okay, but
you can't learn to regulate yourself if you don't practice. You can't expect her to get really good as a litigator someday if she's going to be a lawyer if she doesn't argue now. That's the point I'm making. Kids practice to be adults while they're kids. And instead of grown-ups remembering that and taking that for what it is, not to mention they also mimic behavior they see at home on TV with their friends, all these other kinds of things. It doesn't directly reflect what that child is going to turn out to be, just because of the behavior that's displayed at the time. There may be a lot of different reasons for it.
Okay, fair enough. But at the same time, I have seen firsthand behaviors and disturbances in school that, if left unattended, the disturbances and behaviors will escalate and get worse with the exposure to the kids. So they remove the kid,
right?
Thereby removing the problem. Lets the other kids get back to focus on, learning or socializing or whatever they're doing, and that other kid gets separated. That's common. We even at Gia's school, when we were there for one of those meetings, they had a kid have an explosion in the principal's office.
I remember
there,
we were right there. Yeah.
You saw what they did with him and how they dealt with that. It was the same procedure.
Right, but it wasn't quite the same procedure. They didn't have a bare room with a cold floor and a circle and crayon drawn on the floor, okay?
No, but he was a black kid, so they have to treat him special.
No, and that's come on. Now, this is not coffee and cigarettes. So
what's that got to do with it?
It has everything to do with it. That's not why. The point of the matter was they had a better setup in the school. They actually have really good schools here, especially when it comes to stuff like that. It's just that we're not used to that level of... We're just not used to that. It's, we're used to more intellectually civil back and forth where it's... if we're used to people that if you make a point, it's a touche, not a complete defense of their wrongness to the death. And that's what you have here because... here it's not. What have I always told you about prejudices? Prejudices are things that we fight to for the death because we really don't know why we feel that way. It's nothing to do with our personal experience. So we feel if we lose it, we're going to lose some piece of identity of ourselves we don't quite understand. So when we actually know something to be the truth from personal experience and empirical evidence, we don't fight to the death for it because we don't have to. We know it's the truth. So we'll only fight to the death for stuff that we're not really sure about, because that attacks our identity. And what does it say about us if we're wrong about this? And this is what we've believed for so long.
I don't know, because I don't know. I don't even have a beginning idea how to fathom Bruce Jenner, but that's happening.
Yeah, but that's not what we're talking about. And again, this is Straight Talk, and we're talking about this. It's, so this is what we're talking about. And I'm talking about the educators up here that we can't get a word in edgewise to.
Oh, yeah, I know how you mean.
Because... yes. Because why? Because they'll hold on to their prejudices and what they did was right, and there's no possibility that there's an ulterior, alternative anything.
Yeah, but don't you see they can't admit anything other than exactly what they said because of legal reasons?
Well, not only that, it's a personal thing, too, with them. I mean, because it's a different entire level of operation. Do you really think that our good friend Casey McNeil and I would not be able to come to some mutually collective? Look at me and Judd. We'll sit for hours. We'll talk about things as magnanimous as the Holocaust, with all manner of differing perspectives. And we'll still leave with a complete understanding and an utter respect for each other and our points. Never happen here. Never, 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 never. Right? So that's what I'm saying. So that's the whole different level. And unfortunately, this is where, she's coming from. This has nothing to do with Texas God. I don't know the parents. I don't know. I can get a good idea about the teachers.
Well, my point about that whole issue with this Alex kid and this whole thing is there's not enough details to even make a guess at anything. Yet this mother is putting out her story all over the internet, and everybody's just picking it up and feeling sorry for her, and the evil school, and the evil this.
Well,
and
a lot of them aren't, and that's what shocked me. Because I don't know if a lot of them are parents that don't have school-age children, or that they don't have any kind of experience with that thing, that sort of issue with their kids.
Yeah.
But, growing up is tough, and, especially in that part, and, home is never perfect for any child. There's a lot of things to take into consideration.
Yeah.
And, so I think if you have a child that requires that level of supervision, like I said, I was always at school because I was always participatory, whatever she needed, whatever help they needed. I wanted it to be good for the school and her other students as well as her. It wasn't just about her. And I would have been more than happy to remove her if that's what would have been best for her and the school and all these other things.
Mm-hmm.
But it never got to that point until we had to take her out for her own safety, really, more than anything else, and her own sanity.
Yeah.
But in this case, the parents do have to, examine what the repeated behavior is, that it's always him in the room almost every day, blah, 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 all these things. I agree with that completely. I'm not negating that point. But my point is educators aren't parents, and when a child requires, if it's one disciplinary measure, if it's sit down, stop fidgeting, whatever, but if it's a repeated thing, it's not their job anymore. Then it's the time to take the parents to take the child to a professional if that's what's required, if the parent can't handle it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how old is your boy, Dev? Because it's a teenage thing. That's just, it's just what happens. Teenagers all think they know everything. I actually did, but that's just me. So, but it's a teenage thing. That's the way it was. Well, I had my nose in a book for my whole entire life. That was before the internet, So...
Well,
and then when the internet came along, forget it.
Yeah, Kate knows everything, so of course she knows it's time to go for a commercial break. We'll be back in 2.
You've got it locked to HTLA Radio 1, New York.
Man, I've been to a lot of places over these past 50 years. Seen the whole true north strong and free. 'Cause I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. I've been to Cooksville, Stouffville, Bainesville, Bowmanville, Bonneville, Unionville, Oakville, Dunville, Brockville, Boucherville, Melville, Drummondville, Kentville, Grenville, Morinville, Maryville, Parksville, Stephenville, Sackville, Spring Hill, Westville, Walkerville, hanging on a windowsill. Hey! He said, wow, that's a lot of places. I said, hang on, there's more. I've been to Moncton, Picton, Shannon, Vernon, Stellarton, Hamilton, Nipigon, Nobleton, Yorkton, Brighton, Bolton, Beaverton, Brandon, Edmonton, Walkerton, Wyerton, Granby, Miramichi, Charlottetown, Burnaby, Yellowknife, Whitehorse, Corner Brook, Nunavut. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. I crossed the prairies bare, man. I breathed the mountain air. I've traveled, I've done my share, man. I've been everywhere, man. Check it out. Ottawa, Wawa, Mattawa, Chippewa, Moose Jaw, Oshawa.
What if there was a coffee that was sourced from some of the world's most renowned growing regions, abundant with rich, fertile soil? What if this coffee was picked at the perfect moment, then packed meticulously and shipped carefully to be roasted under the watchful eye of coffee masters? What if it was expertly blended, ground, and sealed ensuring maximum flavor and freshness. Then brewed in small batches and always served fresh within 20 minutes, just the way you like it. Now, what if this coffee just happened to be the coffee you already know and love? Tim Hortons. Always fresh. Always great tasting coffee.
Automatic freshness, softness, and static control has never been easier with the Bounce Dryer Bar. I just stick it to the inside of my dryer, and I never have to remember.
Old Spice body spray makes you smell like power! It's so powerful it sells itself in other people's commercials. You smell like outdoor freshness.
You smell like power.
Yeah, I do. Power!
When we arrived at our hotel in New York, the porter was so incredibly careless with our bags. And the room they gave us, it was beautiful. A broom closet. But the worst part was the shower. My wife drying herself with the
Egyptian cotton towels.
Shower curtain defined that whole vacation for her. Don't just visit New York.
Visit TripAdvisor New York.
With millions of reviews, a visit to TripAdvisor makes any destination better.
I've been so inspired by being in New York because everything from what people are wearing on the street to the way they're interacting with each other, to drive through the West Village at night and you see a couple kissing on the street, or you see someone fighting outside their apartment, or you see so much humanity on a daily basis that even if you're not inspired by your own life that day, you can be inspired by someone else's life.
You got that long hair, slicked back, white t-shirt, and I got that good girl face and a tight little skirt. And when we go crashing down, we come back every time, 'cause we never go out of style. We never go out of style. Take me out.
There's only one place to get more Taylor.
Well, you know there is only one more place.
Right here.
Right here.
I love that. That's really awesome.
What?
You can get a lot more Taylor right here.
Well, that's right. This is the place where you get Taylor.
Yes, that's it.
Although she's not too swift. Welcome back to the big show tonight. Of course, Straight Talk with Kate and Crash for your Straight Talk Monday. Our show tonight, yes, all about public education in the U.S.A.
How to do. The first one, we really let them have it. This time, it's more about in general, you know. But
yeah, well, if we're going to be talking about that particular matter,
well, we're not. We can't right now. But you know.
Oh, we're going to.
No, we can't.
No, not now.
Oh, well, we're going to. Yes, we are.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a humdinger.
That's right, humdinger.
Or a dumb hanger, one of the two.
Right.
Welcome back to the show for this Monday, the 18th of May, 2015. And hey, 61 Central Park right now.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's
Where's
cloudy.
my rain?
You might get your rain.
I want my rain.
Well, you might get it.
No rain.
We'll walk home in the rain.
Yay.
Leave the Mercedes at work.
Well, I'm not driving in the rain. In the city.
Panze. Well, welcome back to the show tonight, and I'd like to say hello and howdy doody there over at Spreaker.com in the HTLA live chat. Got the one, the only Devil-on Crawford. That's the one who's taking up all Kate's time right now. That's why she's not talking.
No, I'm talking. I'm just seething right now because, you know, you keep defying the CEO and legal department every turn.
Well, you know.
Yeah.
That comes with the walking papers.
Does it? Oh,
Yeah.
You would miss HTLA too much.
No, I'd just miss all the money.
Oh, okay. Oh, you wouldn't miss me or anything.
No. You're my boss.
Only at work. Only at work.
Ah, yes. There it is. So, yeah, tonight we're talking about the poor Alex tragedy in Texas. Yes, the poor boy that, of course, was kept in some sort of solitary Guantanamo Bay confinement. Yes, for apparently no reason. Because if there was a reason, I'm sure they'd, I don't know, maybe release it in a story. No, it's not about that. It's not about what the little boy did. No, it's about that horrible treatment, making him sit in a room that's cold. Yeah, that's the big uproar, the big freak out, and of course, well, the parents of Alex are taking the school to task publicly. Yes, and I for one, I got to say, I am seriously looking forward to having the rest of the details released, of course, by the school. I can't believe in this day and age they've just, done this to him, for fun.
I don't think it was for fun, but
no.
I can't believe there's not alternatives, though. I just, you know what I mean?
Well, there was electric shock, but they stopped doing that.
Well, the problem is, and you got to say, and we've talked about this, and, this is what infuriates. Whoa, hello. This is what infuriates me, because this country is the only country who's removed everything traditional, everything foundational, everything that was the pillar of civilization's solidity, and wonders why the country is such a GD wreck, right? But look at Europe. Kids still respect elders and their families and their parents for the most part. I mean, en masse. I'm not talking about...
That's because the base lessons that we're talking about here that need to be taught to kids before they even get to school.
Right, because that's still a traditional structure. Right, and they're still allowed to discipline their kids.
What I've been saying on behalf of the schools is that they've had corporal punishment in this country taken away for the most part.
Right.
Like I said, there are still a few traditional schools that still do it, and that's all good. But the majority of our public system does not allow that, does not permit that. So, of course, when you have that kind of an environment combined with this new societal, everybody's got their rights, that 5-year-old, and what is it?
Right.
The 13-year-old girl, her hole's her choice. No,
right.
It's not. She's a child.
Exactly. No, I agree.
But all that stuff, and then combined with the fact that, now, parents, they're just bad parents. So now, kids are calling the police on their parents and having them arrested.
Right. Now
for just crap they make up.
The daughter was a nightmare. The parents kicked her out, and now the judge is forcing them to pay for her college.
No.
I know. Yeah.
I'm going to have to kill somebody.
Well, that just happened, and it was appalling. Because, whoever heard of such a thing?
Well, and I just don't get, when we do these things, when we eliminate the corporal punishment, when we handcuff parents and their ability to raise their children properly with, dare I say, morals and values, of course this is what you're going to get.
Right.
And you've got kids who... university level kids who will go into a lecture and not turn off their cell phone.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. It's because, I don't care. My cell phone's more important than you in this class.
Right.
Oh, but you can't fail me because
right.
I'm special and I have rights. This whole thing now, what do you think this 9-year-old kid is going to be like now? Oh, well, I'm special now. I'm important because there was this whole news story, and
that's true.
I'm getting thousands of Facebook messages from people all over the country in support of me.
Yeah, but most of them aren't, though. That was what was surprising. I've read a great many of them over the last 2 days, and I've got to tell you, most of them
don't. Me?
Yeah, pretty much. They don't support the school. They say what's going on with the parents, but everybody agrees that discipline should be in the hands of the parents, not the school.
Right.
The school has limited, disciplinary action. And if the kid was necessary to put him in there for 2 straight days, and almost every day this kid is, quote unquote, a problem child, then there needs to be further investigation into the child's issues instead of continually doing this.
Well, this brings up something else for me too,
right.
that pertains directly to this, but it's actually on a broader scope where it pertains to everybody, including even, dare I say, things like Baltimore and Ferguson.
Okay. Before,
when we had corporal punishment in our schools, we never had the need for police officers in our schools. Now we have police officers in our schools. We have officers assigned to schools. Officers go to work as policemen day in and day out in our schools. Wow. We need policemen in our schools now. Think about that for a second. Then step back a couple of steps and look outside and think about how the public view of the police is now. They're all militarized, and it's riots and all this other stuff going on, and police brutality and shooting unarmed black men and all these things.
I know. Well, that's the whole entire thing in a nutshell. And it's so hard to do this show. We've had so many, corporate meetings about this show. If it wasn't for the celebrity guests and the film promotion and all this stuff, I'm just going to call it, this is what's wrong with the country. Let's get back to that one complete topic that is all the stories we talk about.
It always goes back to
the traditional structure. The family structure has been broken down.
Right. Well, and can it really be that simple? Can the solution to all this just be bring back the paddle?
Well, that's the thing. And it's got to start at home.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Like I said earlier in the show, that the kids
corporal
go
punishment
to school.
Isn't outlawed. Let's get things straight here. I've also researched the legalities, especially since you and I got married, and you've taken over the disciplinarian role in the house. We needed to know, just what our rights were and where we live, and pretty much along every coast, and especially the Midwest. The places, there's a couple progressive places like California, and there's a couple more that off the top of my head I can't. But you can still, in schools even, use the paddle in Florida, in Texas, in, a lot more of those traditional states and things like that. So, it's not outlawed in school, but it's definitely not outlawed in the home. There is a reasonable use of discipline that's granted to parents. Our 2-year-old son, if he's going to run out in the street, I'll be the first one to smack his butt, and I'm not the disciplinarian here. It's just, that was the only time that I've ever hit Gia. Is she ran away from me, and she came this close to the street, and I smacked her butt, and I cried for 2 days afterwards. You know what I mean?
And I'll do it if she looks at me funny.
Yeah, that's right. So you see, there's the difference. But, But, unfortunately, it came a little too late for her. She'd already had that. And she's so stubborn. But you know what else? And he doesn't like to admit this, but they're so alike, it's not even funny. So it's like this headbutting thing.
Yeah, except I know what I'm doing.
Well, that's again, you're 46 and she's not, So, there's the whole thing. But, yeah, so that's the whole thing. It's the traditional breakdown. You need two parents. You need a nurturer. You need an authoritarian. Children need to know boundaries, and they need to know they're loved, whether they're going to do right or wrong. And that's what it is.
And let's go a little further. They need to know this stuff before they go to school. This is stuff they should know before they go to school, so that they can be nice, happy little citizens and just follow the teacher's instructions and have a great little school life. That's what needs to happen here. This whole warring thing. Like I'm saying, this Alex kid, this is going to be a real problem now, because okay, like you say, sure, okay, all the conversations and the comments are not completely in support of him and whatever the hell he did to get in this room for 2 days, but a lot of them are so against this, are just screaming, raving mad. There's people that are typing it all in caps. I know, oh my God, they're typing all in caps. But that's what's happening. And you really have to kind of wonder, because the people that are supposed to be the parents now, I'm assuming they're roughly in our generation. They were around when, the school still had the strap or the paddle or any of that stuff.
Right.
They had parents that raised them right and gave them values and morals and respect and all that good stuff. And I don't... Well, of course, by the same token, though, you look at those same comments on Facebook and they don't have that, but then nobody seems to online.
Right.
Yeah, if we're toe to toe, it's accountable city. But if we're online, I'll say anything I want in caps or otherwise.
Well, that's true,
F
and that's
everybody.
why all the laws now for ridiculousness about, well, you can't say this and you can't say that, and that's
Right.
terroristic threats, and that's suck it. Would you suck it? For God's sakes. The stuff that I went through in my life, the things that people said about me, you try growing up, pretty and talented and brilliant and all this kind of stuff in a public school in kindergarten where the teacher takes you around to all the classrooms and makes you read. Everybody hated me.
Right.
The things people said to me and did to me and stuff like that. Are you kidding me? And look at me. I'm stronger for it. Of course it was tough then.
Yeah, but nobody
But what
wants
happened?
nobody wants the tough anymore.
Wait a minute. I had two parents, though. I
Yeah.
knew I was loved. I knew I was safe. Yeah, the home was a little bit of a disaster, too. But, I knew that, I had people to back me up, and I was safe, and I was loved, and I was strong, and it would be okay.
You were part of a unit.
Right.
There's
Exactly.
no unit anymore.
No one has any sense of self, any sense of place in the world, place in their own skin. They don't even know what damn gender they are anymore.
I don't know. I think I'm the radio god of New York.
You are. But, everybody else.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how the hell are they supposed to feel secure enough to do the right thing and not fall apart when, the slightest thing happens? And then they see all these reality TV shows and think it's okay to behave like Honey Boo Boo and do all this kind of stuff.
Right.
Because
Right.
there's no parents home saying, oh, honey, that's just a TV show. Or no family example every day. One more thing, and Ron Howard and everybody has spoken about this. They've done mega documentaries. Where are the male examples? Where are the male examples? Men are idiots nowadays.
Larry Gay, flight attendant.
Exactly. There you go. Men are idiots these days. We watched a horror film just 2 days ago, and you couldn't believe it. The guy winds up sacrificing himself for her, but that didn't matter because, when it was time to go get the gun, she's like, oh, here, give me that. I'll do it.
Right.
What? Even if she could, it's not the point. You don't.
No, and the other thing that really made me laugh about that particular movie was, of course, the aliens are coming, and the girl, the main character in the story, her dad had told her that when you go to the cabin, my shotgun's in the basement. She knows where the shotgun is, so she goes and tells her boyfriend, that this muscular-looking kind of man. You think, okay, yeah, maybe. No. He goes down. He opens up the gun box. He's fumbling around with it. And that she comes over, snatches it out of his hand, racks it open, loads it up like a pro, and goes and kills herself an alien.
Right.
Leaving him sit there like, oh, thank you, honey. Well, what the hell is that? That just kind of was a little too much for me. It took away from the movie, and it wasn't necessary to be there. But
that's exactly the state of this country today, though, and exactly why men don't know how to be men, and they don't know how to be fathers to their children or the head of the households, and women don't know how to be women and support the men either, and
women,
they lose
and
out
women,
so much.
And women don't even know what they want anymore. So of course they get married, and it lasts a year and a half, and then
they don't
have
know
a
what
kid,
they're missing,
and now they're a single mom. Or well, then we get into this whole mommy, daddy thing. Now, and then Bruce Jenner, and then oh my God, screw it, just press the button.
Yeah, it is. It's going to reset to zero. That's the only way. The pendulum's going to have to swing all the way over. And I'm sorry you don't want to hear it. And I'm sorry you think differently. But I'm sorry that, what do I always say about people? Psychology 101, it doesn't matter what people say, it's how they behave.
Right.
And I don't care what you say, but it's going to go back to how it's always been. It doesn't matter what happens a little bit in the interim here for 100 years or a little bit over there for 100 years. It's going to go back to how it's been for thousands of years. It's a patriarchal, it's created that way. It's going to be that way. As long as we're on Earth and we're not evolving into another dimension or into another whatever, this is the way it's always going to be. And I don't care how you delude yourself, girls and guys, it still is this way.
Well, and women are not allowed to be women anymore. Case in point.
That's why I started Fierce Kitty Omni Media.
Case in point, Miley Cyrus. What the hell is that? Next window?
I would never dye my pit hair. Sorry. She dyed her pit hair pink.
I was trying to avoid that. I didn't want to go there.
Oh, sorry. It's just shocking to me, though. It's bad enough to have pit hair, but then to dye it and call attention to it like it's a fashion accessory?
But here's the thing, though. Women aren't allowed to be women anymore. Yes, true enough, absolutely. But now, the flip side of that coin is that men are now expected to be women.
Right.
Literally.
Yeah, no, literally. Literally, they have to do the dishes and take care of the babies and do all this stuff while the wife's at work supporting the husbands and doing all that kind of stuff. And,
Well, I'm going to do my man stuff and go for a commercial. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
All right.
You've got it locked to New York's best talk, HTLA Radio 1.
What if there was a coffee that was sourced from some of the world's most renowned growing regions, abundant with rich, fertile soil? What if this coffee was picked at the perfect moment, then packed meticulously and shipped carefully to be roasted under the watchful eye of coffee masters? What if it was expertly blended, ground, and sealed, ensuring maximum flavor and freshness, then brewed in small batches and always served fresh within 20 minutes, just the way you like it? Now, what if this coffee just happened to be the coffee you already know and love? Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always great tasting coffee.
Man, I've been to a lot of places over these past 50 years. Seen the whole true north strong and free. 'Cause I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. I've been to Cooksville, Stouffville, Bainesville, Bowmanville, Bonnieville, Unionville, Oakville, Dunville, Brockville, Boucherville, Melville, Drummondville, Kentville, Grenville, Morinville, Maryville, Parksville, Stephenville, Sackville, Spring Hill, Westville, Walkerville, hanging on a windowsill. Hey! He said, wow, that's a lot of places. I said, hang on, there's more. I've been to Moncton, Picton, Shannon, Vernon, Stellarton, Hamilton, Nipigon, Nobleton, Yorkton, Brighton, Bolton, Beaverton, Brandon, Edmonton, Walkerton, Wyerton, Granby, Miramichi, Charlottetown, Burnaby, Yellowknife, Whitehorse, Corner Brook, Nunavut. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. I crossed the prairies bare, man. I breathed the mountain air. I've traveled, I've done my share, man. I've been everywhere, man. Check it out. Ottawa, Wawa, Mattawa, Chippewa, Moose Jaw, Oshawa.
When we arrived at our hotel in New York, the porter was so incredibly careless with our bags. And the room they gave us, it was beautiful. A broom closet. But the worst part was the shower. My wife drying herself with the
Egyptian cotton towels.
Shower curtain defined that whole vacation for her. Don't just visit New York.
Visit TripAdvisor New York.
With millions of reviews, a visit to TripAdvisor makes any destination better.
Automatic freshness, softness, and static control has never been easier with the Bounce Dryer Bar. I just stick it to the inside of my dryer, and I never have to remember.
Old Spice body spray makes you smell like power! It's so powerful it sells itself in other people's commercials. You smell like outdoor freshness.
You smell like power.
Yeah, I do. Power! Power!
I've been so inspired by being in New York because everything from what people are wearing on the street to the way they're interacting with each other, to drive through the West Village at night and you see a couple kissing on the street, or you see someone fighting outside their apartment, or you see...
Yeah. Shut up. That's enough, Taylor. You don't know what the hell you're talking about at all. Welcome back to the show, of course. Straight Talk, your Monday night extravaganza here with Kate and Crash on HTLA Radio 1, New York's best talk. And tonight's show, Public Education Part 2. Yes, this time it's personal.
Well, it was always personal.
A new beginning, yes, I don't know.
That's right. That's right.
Or public education, Jason lives. No?
No, Alex lives.
Yes, the poisonous little demon boy.
That's right.
Yeah, see? See, maybe he's like the Omen, for God's sake. You don't know.
God.
Telling you, man.
But anyway, that is a good point. And, and a lot of people have brought it up. This child's got enough issues. What's the child's issues? What forced the school to take this drastic measure and throw him in the ice room? I found out there are some schools that actually have padded rooms called safe rooms. Now, this brings me to another point. Just like we were talking about 5 minutes ago. What is wrong with this GD society? I didn't have safe rooms in my school when I was growing up.
No, because you had the principal with a paddle in his drawer. We don't have the paddle anymore,
well,
so
I
now we
didn't
have
have
to
that
have
until I went to
rooms.
private Catholic school. Then I had a dean of discipline.
In this world of,
he's really cute too.
Treat everybody with respect and joy and wonder and all this touchy-feely crap.
Right, it's crap.
What else can they do with a problem kid but put him in a padded room?
I have to ask you a question. And if everybody answers this honestly, you'll have your answer.
Okay.
If we get invaded as a country, right?
Russians or...
Who cares? Probably Koreans, actually, the North Koreans. Let's say the North Koreans invade.
Okay.
Who would you rather have defending the homestead of this country? Today's generation in society as it exists now or 25 years ago?
25 years ago, without a doubt.
Exactly. Why is that? And what does that say? And shouldn't that tell people something? We're raising generations of neurotics, of pansies, of paranoids.
25 years ago, I would have a bunch of manly man Marines on the wall.
Right.
Not a bunch of women, cross-dressing transgenders.
Exactly.
Homosexuals. And the funny thing is about the whole homosexual thing, I've often used the argument that, military men are it's the testosterone. It's that, women can't do that job. They just can't. Well, then, of course, the male gay rights advocates tell me, well, gay men have the same testicles. Well, because you're talking like this, you don't have what I need. That's the bottom line. If you're talking like a little woman... Or whatever the hell that is. I don't even know what that is. Gay speak? What do you call that? I don't know. But if they're talking like that, I don't want them defending me on the wall. I don't want them going in the airport. I don't want them, covering me with, airplanes. I don't want them.
No.
So what the hell? Like, I don't know why it's so horrifying not to want women in the military, not to want women in combat, not to want homosexuals in the military or in combat.
No.
It's common sense.
It is. Well, there are some women that are capable, but it's not, it shouldn't be like half and half. We shouldn't accommodate. We shouldn't go changing tradition. My cousin graduated West Point. It was the greatest honor of his life and our families, really. I come from half of my family's in military.
Yeah.
All of the men, that were born pre-50 were all in the military, right? Mm-hmm. But, my brother was the first male to not join up. He was a musician, that's why. But, you know what I mean? So, to think that they would admit women to West Point now, was really kind of devastating.
Admitting women to West Point, I'm not so much against in terms of the academics they can learn, in terms of...
It's like letting MS-13 into Skull and Bones.
I don't know. I think women can be good military analysts.
All right, I have to give you that. I have great strategy. I have great strategic tactics, but I would rather use it into managing my home and teaching my son how to do that stuff and, that kind of thing. I mean, what are you really missing? I mean, yeah, sure, it's exciting and all that. Go play Warcraft.
Right.
It's like...
you had some good tactics in that.
Of course.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean, though? Sure, there's the few, but I mean, it's just like, even me who was raised in the 70s, I felt like I couldn't just be a housewife,
No, Well, that was the Steinem pressure, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. And here is the irony. You know, my mother wanted me. She pushed me into the entertainment industry from walking. Actually, my 6 months when I had my first photo shoot.
And
right?
that's no different than get a job.
Right. But here's the thing. Well, I had a job, right? So 6 months old, I'm already working. I wanted my own apartment in the city. I wanted to be Mary Tyler Moore when I was 3 years old. You know, all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, by 9 or 10, all I really wanted was to have what every little girl wants. I wanted to get married. I wanted to have a family. I wanted...
Really?
Especially me. Everybody who knows me. You know, I'm all about that whole traditional thing and all that stuff. So that's all I ever wanted.
Wow.
And yet every turn of my life until even we met, and now look at me, I'm still running companies and stuff.
Yeah.
I've been forced into, you know, corporate America, or I have to have a career, or I have to do that and all this stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, I'm one of the lucky ones, though, that had the ability and the time and the life circumstances to self-examine, really know what I want. Fortunate enough to meet, you know, the love of my life, my other half, my soulmate, who allows me to do whatever it is I want to do.
Yeah, Ted, yeah.
Whether that's stay home or run a company or do both,
right.
I have his support. And the problem with women and the feminism movement, now I've always said feminism had its place. You know, women should vote. There are certain things that women do better than men that we should be allowed to do. You know, they make better teachers. They make better nurses. Any of those compassionate things. Hell, there's some brilliant women scientists, brilliant women doctors. I'm not saying don't do it.
Right.
You know.
But there is a line.
Brilliant women attorneys. Right. But there is a line. You can't play football. You're not going to get on a pair of skates and play ice hockey while I'm alive. You know, there's things that you're not going to do.
But I mean, that all things being equal, because, you know, that 42-year-old overweight guy who's been working at the chemical plant or whatever for 20 years, I'm sure there's nothing he'd like better than to throw on a helmet and pads and get out there on the NFL and go play with the San Diego 49ers.
Right.
But he can't.
Right.
And he knows he can't. And he doesn't go to the Supreme Court going, I want my right to play for the Niners.
Right.
Which he's actually probably on a legal standpoint more entitled to, but he doesn't do that. He knows.
Right, exactly. But they got to form their own league because they can't play with the men in there. You know what I mean? So, but why try? I mean, and it's exactly like I say, and this is the same with the issue of racism. Everybody who can hear the sound of my voice, listen very closely right now.
Yeah.
Because here's the problem with racism. When we had a respect for other cultures, when, you know, we stayed segregated and separate to our own culture. I was raised in an Italian neighborhood by Italian parents, and it was awesome, you know, but I would go to my Jewish friend's house, and God, I would love the feast and the traditions and the food and the songs and everything. And we went to temple, and it was beautiful. And I used to dream about traveling to other countries and learning about those cultures and experiencing their lives and doing all these things.
Sure.
Now today, you go around the corner, you go to the apartment downstairs, it's everywhere. Nobody respects anything anymore because everybody is so mixed together that nothing is respected. There's no desire to learn about anything anymore. There's nothing novel. You know, everything is just whatever. So, you know, so there really isn't, the problem with racism isn't that we're intolerant, it's that we're saturated. And there's no respect for any other culture anymore because everyone's become so equalized and normalized.
Right.
There's no attraction to anything else, and we're just disgusted with our own banality that we turn that into, you know, a dislike or an even hatred for anything that's different.
Interesting.
So, and that's what I say about racism, So, but it's the same thing about traditionalism and sexism and all that kind of stuff. You know, there's no more appeal to being, look at the 30s and the 40s. Women were women, dear God. And they were feisty and they were noir and they were sexy and all that kind of stuff. But they also knew how to make men feel like men. Mm-hmm. And they knew exactly what to do.
And let's be fair here, they knew how to get what they wanted from men.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. There's this whole kind of feminine... Well, and it's funny because, you know, it was called the feminine mystique in feminism. Mm-hmm. And it was something that was derided instead of something that should be celebrated.
Absolutely.
You know, I don't see the appeal in being an unfeminine woman. What's the appeal? I'm as athletic as the next guy. You don't want to pick up a sword and fight me, but I'll look really, really cute doing it.
Right.
I'll have my nails done. I'll have my hair. I'll probably be wearing pink, but that's the thing. And it's so funny because if you watch Kill Bill, she was even kind of feminine. She was all tough, but she was still feminine too. You remember when she first started training with the Chinese foo?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, I remember the movie. It was a great movie. I just hate Uma Thurman.
Oh, yeah, I know. You don't like her, but I do. But
looks like Smeagol with long hair.
Oh, gosh. She's just really tall, and stuff like that.
She's got those eyes.
She's gangly. That's what she is. But she's good. She's a great actress, and she's good. And I loved her in the Kill Bill series. So.
Well, it's a great series.
Yeah.
Great
that's
series.
where I wanted to learn how to use a sword first. So there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
And now you have.
And now I have.
Look at that. Well, listen, gang, we're going to go for a final commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to wrap all this up and see what it means for little golden boy Alex. Back in 2.
You've got it locked to HTLA Radio 1, New York.
Man, I've been to a lot of places over these past 50 years. Seen the whole true north strong and free. 'Cause I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. I've been to Cooksville, Stouffville, Bainesville, Bowmanville, Bonnieville, Unionville, Oakville, Dunville, Brockville, Boucherville, Melville, Drummondville, Kentville, Grenville, Morinville, Maryville, Parksville, Stephenville, Sackville, Spring Hill, Westville, Walkerville, hanging on a windowsill. Hey! He said, wow, that's a lot of places. I said, hang on, there's more. I've been to Moncton, Picton, Shannon, Vernon, Stellarton, Hamilton, Nipigon, Nobleton, Yorkton, Brighton, Bolton, Beaverton, Brandon, Edmonton, Walkerton, Wyerton, Granby, Miramichi, Charlottetown, Burnaby, Yellowknife, Whitehorse, Corner Brook, none of it. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. I crossed the prairies bare, man. I breathed the mountain air. I've traveled, I've done my share, man. I've been everywhere, man. Check it out. Ottawa, Wawa, Mattawa, Chippewa, Moose Jaw, Oshawa.
What if there was a coffee that was sourced from some of the world's most renowned growing regions, abundant with rich, fertile soil? What if this coffee was picked at the perfect moment, then packed meticulously and shipped carefully to be roasted under the watchful eye of coffee masters? What if it was expertly blended, ground, and sealed, ensuring maximum flavor and freshness, then brewed in small batches and always served fresh within 20 minutes, just the way you like it? Now, what if this coffee just happened to be the coffee you already know and love? Tim Hortons, always fresh, always great tasting coffee.
Automatic freshness, softness, and static control has never been easier with the Bounce Dryer Bar. I just stick it to the inside of my dryer, and I never have to remember.
Oh, Old Spice body spray makes you smell like power! It's so powerful it sells itself in other people's commercials. You smell like outdoor freshness.
You smell like power.
Yeah, I do. Power!
When we arrived at our hotel in New York, the porter was so incredibly careless with our bags. And the room they gave us, it was beautiful. A broom closet. But the worst part was the shower. My wife drying herself with the
Egyptian cotton towels.
Shower curtain defined that whole vacation for her. Don't just visit New York.
Visit TripAdvisor New York.
With millions of reviews, a visit to TripAdvisor makes any destination better.
I've been so inspired by being in New York because everything from what people are wearing on the street to the way they're interacting with each other to drive through the West.
Yeah, shut up, Taylor.
There we go. Yeah, I just so hate that commercial. I do. I can't help it. All right. Well, Am I not mistaken, or did somebody say in the booth we have a caller?
We have a caller. You are on the air. Straight Talk with Kate and Crash.
Hello.
Good evenings.
Are you there, caller?
I am.
Hi. Who are we talking to?
Oh, this is Devlin.
Hey, how are you, Devlin? I'm glad you called. We're going to get your 2 cents in. We get to hear your voice.
Well, no, you know what's going to happen now. I'll tell you what's going to happen now. You guys are going to start talking, and this is going to be a 3.5-hour special Straight Talk.
Probably.
Yes, you would be correct.
Well, that's good. No, it's good you called. Glad to have you. Actually, I think you are the first inaugural caller to HTLA.
You are the first live caller into one of our shows since we got the studio line. Yeah,
that gets you a couple of T-shirts.
It does. That's right.
Oh, so I get the grand prize. Yay!
Yay! That's right. And
a brand new car.
Well, I got to get mine first, and then you can have yours. How's that?
Welcome back to the show tonight, and of course, on the line we have the one, the only Devlin Crawford calling in for the Public Education Show. What did you want to add, Devlin?
I can't help but agree. Public discipline in the school is necessary. Communication between the school and the teachers is incredibly important. Parents need to take some accountability for their child's actions because they're responsible. Right. And teachers need to be able to step up and put a finger on the pulse and know the parents and the child well enough to say, okay, here's the issue. But without that communication between the teachers and the parents, it's just not going to happen.
No. No, absolutely not. And, I don't know whether it's because of, people's schedules and they just don't have the time or whatnot, but there's not really anybody that I know outside of our family here who really, aside from maybe the school events, once or twice a year or what have you, they don't know the teachers. They don't talk to them. Kate and I have always, we've always made appointments. If one of the kids is going to a new school, we go, we see the school, we meet the teachers, we meet the principal, we get all that information about who to contact and who to talk to for different things. And, you build up at least a working knowledge of the people that are around your kid all day. Right. And I don't think a lot of people do that.
Mm-hmm.
Classes today, in my humble opinion, are too big.
Right.
My son goes to a school right now, and it's 150 students. Whether or not the child goes to that particular teacher's class or not, the teacher knows them. Every single teacher there knows every single child by name, by sight, their likes, their dislikes, their attitudes. Because the school is so small and the teachers communicate with each other, hey, you know what? This kid is interested in, say, theater.
Yeah. Right.
And these teachers are, constantly on the prowl for new data. Hey, wait, I see that. And, oh, hey, student Z would really like that. So I'm going to pass this on to their teacher, and that teacher passes it on to them. And the teacher talks to the student, says, hey, I know you're interested in this, and here's this website, here's this information, and hey, just move with it and go with it. The classes that he goes to can be anywhere between 60 and 90 minutes long, and if they finish early, they can work on other work. They play games.
Right.
They can go to the library.
Mm-hmm.
They can go to a teacher's classroom. And have a certain to a high school ensemble.
Right.
But they're given a certain amount of freedom to the school is all for getting hands-on. I said, do things. I did.
Right.
Education.
Yeah. It's more like individual attention. It sounds like a charter school, or, when Gia was up to 8 years old, she could have gone to Montessori, and that would have been an ideal situation, too. I agree that the class sizes are too large. And, we have to clarify, we're not bashing teachers. We're not just bashing all teachers. There's some brilliant, really loving educators out there, and I was blessed when I went to private Catholic school, actually, to have a couple really amazing teachers that... I had my English teacher really nurture my writing. I had a nun that was just, invaluable when I was going through a bad, tough time when I was 16. And, so there are really loving, caring educators out there. We're not just bashing teachers full stop. But, the system as a whole, is really what the issue is. Yeah. There are too many issues now to properly educate kids. When we care more about their emotional disturbance and their spectrum disorders and their specialized attention and, who needs this and who needs that, and a 600-page IEP, just to be able to have a parent-teacher conference.
Yeah.
Then we're wasting resources, and there's no wonder that the children aren't getting educated. So,
well, you didn't have teachers that in public education that are very good. I had, three of them in public education in huge high schools,
right? That
were incredibly dedicated in the same way that they are in the charter school that my son goes to. So you're right. It's not all teachers. It's the system.
Right. And we've sworn we're never putting our children into public school again. Now, not to brag, Gia's brilliant, but Tristan, 2.5, he's reading, he's writing, he spells his own name. He's really amazing, like it's scary. So we don't know what to do with him. We're certainly not going to put him in public school. We don't want to waste his talents and have him go down the wrong path and have that kind of light be snuffed out.
Well, no, but we're lucky in that. But, really the problem I think that we're talking about on the show tonight as a whole is this K-12 education system in the United States, and what the hell do we do with it to fix it? The class size issue is a big issue because it takes away a lot of time from the teachers and kids and any one-on-one that they get. If you have 15 to 20 in a class versus 35 and 40 in some classes now,
right?
You're not going to get that one-on-one teacher time to answer those questions and to figure things out and to help you work through the problems and all that kind of stuff. Just basically the support is like kind of halved, and the kids are just sort of left on their own to carry on the weight, and we call this budget cuts. And every president that we have talks about, we're going to revamp the education system. Obama said it in 2007. Well, what has he done? Nothing.
No, nothing.
Not a thing.
No Child Left Behind Act just means that the teachers are under more pressure to make, metrics than actually educate children. So... that is a great deal. And again, the advent of the internet hasn't really, in some ways it's been wonderful for education, but in other ways it certainly hasn't because, now kids feel even more they don't need an education because they could just, create a website or get famous like PewDiePie or do all these things. There's no dedication to traditional job making anymore now. They live pie in the sky because of the internet now.
Well, here, let me ask you this, Dev. If there was one thing you could do, one thing that was within your power to bring into our education system right now, money's no object. If there's one thing that you would do for our education system, what would that be?
More classes, more schools, centralized schools. It sounds really silly,
Well, you're breaking up a little bit there. So, smaller classes and more schools.
The smaller classes, more teachers. When teachers feel powerless, they teach less. And that's what we're seeing. Because our teachers feel and are powerless. Because they have so many kids that the troublemakers, you have the jokers, you have the smart ones that really want to learn.
Right.
Really do need to be in small classrooms or hands-on.
Right. No, that's true. No, that's true.
The United States is at the bottom. The world as a whole, and we shouldn't, because we have the people here to do it.
Yeah, I know.
But we're hog-tying the schools, we're hog-tying the systems, we're inventing quote-unquote core values, courses that mean absolutely nothing. And we're just really bringing in our education system.
Right.
When we have some incredibly powerful tools at our hands, and we are, as a whole, for the United States, not involved because Baby and Pet and Carl, I hate to say this.
No, it's true.
We have to bring the smart people down to the level of the people that aren't quite as smart.
Right.
Because it makes the people that are not quite as smart feel better about themselves.
Right.
So we're hog-tying and channeling the smart people into our U.S.A.
No, that is a good point. Well, thanks for calling, Deb. We appreciate it. You, our first caller ever, our inaugural caller. Thank you so much.
Okay.
So,
alrighty.
So, that's true, though. She's saying, we have to, like, the smart kids are in a sense being dumbed down because, it makes the rest of the school or the class, feel better, right?
Alienated.
But this is why,
or
because
they're
preparing them for actual life in society in this world where the majority is average or below average. But I believe it's also location, where you are. Like we just did a study that we heard of about the 10 safest states in the country and the 10 most dangerous states in the country.
Right.
The safest states, by the way, they're all on the East Coast, every single one of them. Florida is the exception. That's among the dangerous states. But,
I
and
like
Delaware.
danger.
And Delaware, actually. But not worth it for the palm trees, thanks. But, like in Connecticut, it's a whole different ball game than going to school in Arkansas. Sorry, it just is.
Yeah.
You're talking about a place where, the kids are prepped for Ivy League post-education.
This is one of the other problems that I have with that, though. It should be a unified system. There shouldn't be different curriculum for different.
It can't be because you're succumbing to the democratic misnomer that there's equality, and there isn't. 740 Park Avenue. There isn't.
Well, not so much. Well, kind of to that. The same way the 740 Park Avenue, it kind of, rigs the game in their favor. Always has, always will. The education system, it can't be something that's rigged in anybody's favor. I think it needs to be. First of all, I think it needs to be the same for every kid out there.
Yeah, but every kid is different.
Well, different is fine.
Okay, so if it's the same for every kid out there, you see the problems that, kids like ours have in a regular classroom environment where they blow through the work in 2 seconds because they were doing it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then what do? They get in trouble. They get bored, they get restless, they get in trouble. And then when Gia went in the gifted program, she blossomed because she actually was able to work to her capacity. Now she was getting challenged.
Okay.
Things were better. And that's what Dev was saying about, smaller class size, individual attention to, a child's needs and likes and interests. She had one teacher who knew she had an interest in forensic sciences and went and got her, a lab kit, a forensic fingerprint kit and all that stuff. And that was her gifted teacher that did that. not a regular teacher.
Okay.
So, so that's all part and parcel of it, too. The issue that began this show was, children's behavior. How much is too much? When is it the parent's job? When is it the educator's job? When is it a crime? Right? Because, you have 5-year-olds that are getting kicked out of school and their academic education is being destroyed forever because they chewed a Pop-Tart into the shape of a gun.
Yeah, that's a little much.
And played with it. I mean, this is it's a ridiculous...
Yeah, but you see, when I was a kid, we had guns. Like
toy guns, yeah.
They were toy guns, and they were all black. They weren't orange, and they looked like real guns. But you know what? We didn't take them to school.
And we didn't pretend that they were real and rob people and hurt people and do things to them either. And we didn't, we weren't brazen enough to wave them around in front of a cop either.
No.
I mean, this is another thing that's wrong with it. And all these kids that are getting shot now in all these instances, what happened to their school education?
Well, yeah. And you know what? I don't claim to have the first clue.
Of course not.
About
right.
what to do about it.
Of course, there isn't anything to do about it because until I think the home situation is fixed and parents, you got in trouble at school, you got in trouble at home.
Oh, yeah.
Now there's nobody home.
No.
You get in trouble at school, you laugh at the teacher, and you walk out and you go hang out. It's not at all like it was.
Yeah. And what are you going to do? Put me in a padded room?
Right, exactly. And parents can't, you had made a point earlier about, and Dev made a point, we were talking about, parents being involved with, their child's education and
right.
knowing who's involved in their child's life and things like that.
Sure.
I was among the incredibly rare luxury that didn't have to work. So I was at Gia's school all the time.
Right.
They called me at 11 o'clock. Hey, my parent helper canceled. Sure, I'll be right there. And whatever it was, Gia got in trouble. She got upset over, something going on with her biological father, and she was really upset. And the teacher called me. Can you come get her because she's really misbehaving today? It was the only time I ever had to go and take her out because of her behavior.
Right.
Because she was so upset about that news that she had gotten that day.
Mm-hmm.
But, if I had a job, I couldn't have. And then what do they do? So the problem is the parents are unavailable. The teachers have to stick them in rooms and they have to do this sort of thing because they can't send them home. There's nobody home.
Right.
So there's a lot of issues that are wrong. But the teachers really can't do their job without the parents being home. And now here's where the rest of us suffer. We're a 2-parent family. We're home with our kids all the time because we work from home. We're very lucky that way. But, if our kid gets in trouble, they're going to be treated the same way as, parents who aren't home. And the teachers are going to employ the measures that they're used to, although...
Sure.
In this situation, it's different. We are available. We are here. We are cooperative, all that kind of thing.
Right.
But they're just not used to that. That's such an anomaly now that, they don't even know what to do.
No.
So, I don't believe, like I said, there can be a change until there's a change at home. And, corporal punishment is still allowed in home.
Damn straight.
But it's just obviously can't be excessive, and obviously it has to be a necessary kind of thing. And I never believed in it as a first resort anyway. So it was a last resort.
Like you always tell me, there's a process to it. It's not just beating the child.
Right. They have to be talked to. They have to understand what the punishment's for. They have to submit to the punishment so it sinks in. They have to be remorseful for it.
But you talk to these people that are anti-corporal punishment, and that you're just an abusive parent. You're just beating your child. But that goes back to what Dev said too about levels. Right. What level are you operating at?
Right.
If you've got part of the country that operates at this level, but the majority operate at this one.
And you know what I don't believe in too? And they don't do this in England. If you get in trouble in England in school, you get 6 of the best. That's it. There's no argument. You go, you get it done, you're done. But they give kids the choice between detention or the paddle in schools in Texas and stuff.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And see, some people agree that, okay, well, that is good because why? The child's submitting to it. So obviously there is that process there that makes it not traumatic and not detrimental.
But they also make a choice and they're partially still in control of themselves. They don't lose their dignity.
Well, that's true too, But, and they almost all opt for the paddle too. They don't want detention. They'll take the SWATs and go home.
Sure.
So,
Go out and play guns.
Yeah.
With your Pop-Tart.
But I don't know about that, though, either, because, that's the problem that started the problem in this country. Everybody had too much choice.
Right.
And not everybody is capable of choice, of handling choice.
Okay.
And we all know this. And this is the reason that this country's gotten to the point that it's gotten to. Same principle as don't let everybody know the UFOs are here because there's going to be a panic. It's that same kind of principle.
Okay.
You can't give someone a choice if they can't make an informed decision because they don't have the capabilities. And because everybody holds prejudicial viewpoints instead of critically thought out, informed ones. Mm-hmm. It's just, almost impossible to get a unified kind of decision-making process with those variant levels of operation and knowledge and things like that, too. So,
there's a whole lot more to this story, and we could probably go on for another 17 days.
Yes, I'm sure we could.
You and I, operating at our level, couldn't even have a conversation with the principal, the vice principal, and several teachers of one of our own kids' school. So
nope.
I can't point fingers at anybody else for not getting that communication going. But, clearly something does need to be done about the system.
Right.
Something does need to be done about teachers, whether we need more of them, whether we need more educated teachers. Every single teacher I meet these days, they've all got PhDs, and that's bull.
No, they don't. They don't even have master's degrees. You can get it, please. Give me a break. 2 years, you can get your associate's degree in teaching.
So then what am I left to understand? Well, the teacher's lying to me. Well, that's a great way to start off a relationship with a new teacher for your child.
Everybody's a legend in their own mind. This brings me to another point, though, and we'll have to save it for another show. But, Gia has been placed in cyber school since, the issues that precipitated our removing her.
Right.
But not every child is okay with that. The isolation really was detrimental for her, where, I flourished in online environment because I have that kind of self-discipline and I loved it and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Certain ages of development, some things are good, some things are traumatic. And, a lot of kids nowadays are being homeschooled. They're being cyber schooled by the states, are saying, well, we'll take them out of school. The state has a way you can do it. And this is all state sponsored and state governed and all this kind of stuff.
Sure.
So it's just like public school at home, supposedly. They even sent her a whole home gym and everything.
Right.
But, the parent has to be the teacher. The parent has to monitor it. The parent has to do this. I've got a 2-year-old in the company to run. It's really tough to get a teenager to do her workout for gym class.
More beatings.
Yeah, and that's what it'll have to come to. But, so it's just wasn't she flourishes in that social environment where she can thrive off the interaction of the other kids and the intellect.
Well, then if that's the case, you would think that a 10-minute timeout would be something that would snap that kind of a kid right back into...
Yeah, well, she was good with that, and that's not why we had to remove her.
No.
We removed her because the other kids were a danger to her.
But that kind of leads me back to this whole Alex thing and this story. This is why I don't really see how it's that horrible.
Well, again, because if you believe that the parent, 90 minutes is too much for a 9-year-old. 2 days in a row, almost the entire day, according to the kid, if you can believe it.
Well, and that's you got to underscore that if you can believe it, because what do you think this parent might be doing? A civil suit?
I'm gauging my opinion on the kid's face.
Okay.
In those pictures. Because if I ever walked into a room and saw my child that upset, everybody better run and leave immediately, because I will not ask questions first.
Well, then I would ask Mr. Patrick Weston in Souk, British Columbia.
That's right. So come on down here and help me.
No, to send Kate some pictures of his children pulling the wool over his mom's eyes, because I've seen that happen too.
Well, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying.
Kids are good actors.
I know they're good actors, but there was no, at that age, though, they're visceral beings.
Fair enough.
They're hungry, they're tired, they're cranky, they need love, they need whatever.
And I'm not saying that's what this kid's doing. I'm just saying that the possibility exists, and the chances that he deserved to be in there for whatever the reason was could be valid.
Okay, but now let's play devil's advocate, as you so much love to do.
Oh, yes.
As a mother, I have never excused my children's behavior, despite what you said. I would always want what was best consequenced for them to be better in the future. So, as a mother, I wouldn't take to the website and make a page and try
No.
and rally the nation's support.
No.
If my kid was really at fault, because why? I'm just going to wind up looking like an idiot when the truth comes out. Right?
Okay.
Okay. So there has to be some validity to get this mother so upset that she felt the need to expose herself to the entire world.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Fair enough.
You
Yeah,
know,
that's a good
you've
point.
heard me say to the teachers, if, whatever you need to do to help her, and all that stuff, because
Yeah.
it's about her getting better. And, I want other children not to have their classroom time disrupted too.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't want some other child disrupting my child's time. So I always
Right.
look at it from, the other parent's perspective as well, and the teachers. But that's just me. But, I don't see her exposing herself and doing all this, and now it's like national news.
Yeah.
If there wasn't,
Something to it.
right.
Yeah.
Because right now a lot of stuff has happened, but there's been very little, except for up to this point, that's gotten me wanting to go national and call the news about, because I know she's a handful, and I know they've done the best she can, and, so that's why you have to look at it from that point of view, too.
Yeah. Okay.
There's got to
Well,
be some truth to it.
I'm going to go with that. And, we are out of time. Yeah.
That's right. Oh, my goodness. I think that is my cue.
That is.
That is my cue. Well, I would like to thank HTLA Radio 1 for allowing us to bring you the issues that matter with the people to whom they matter most. I would like to thank Devlon Crawford for being our very first live HTLA Radio 1 Studio 2 caller tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Woohoo! T-shirts will be on their way. All right.
Yes. Email producer at htlaradio1.com and we'll send you the goodies.
That's right. Now, a huge thank you to our sponsors and supporters. And, of course, we are nothing without you, our listeners. Last but not at all least, thank you to my producer, co-host, and husband, and the disciplinarian of our house, Christopher Crash Jesus Taylor. The one, the only.
There you go.
Now, be sure to be here next Monday, Meeps, because we are going to have a show. And in June, we've got some seriously funny movies to talk about. So you're going to want to stay tuned with us. You never know who's going to show up on Straight Talk to talk straight. Be your only one, too, and whatever you do, see you next time. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
We're New York's best talk radio, HTLA Radio 1.